Hey everyone, and welcome back to another lore video. So, BFA, it kind of felt like a down-to-earth expansion. Void incursions and crazy stuff aside, we kicked it off, going around Cultras, leveling in the old-school way of killing boars and doing chores, and, we may even think back on that as a bit of a deep breath before a storm, sort of the preface to the cosmic apocalypse that we're probably being thrown into right now. Shadowlands, as a starting point, kind of has that potential, right? Like, not only is it the Stygian realm of death, but it's also a cosmic realm. It's even on that big chart that we all like to look at sometimes. And that's a chart that Blizzard themselves said we're going to be exploring in future expansions. So yes, Shadowlands very well, I think, is the first leg on a cosmic marathon that is really going to take us to the furthest reaches of both the physical and metaphysical Warcraft universe. And that means there's a lot to talk about, isn't there? So today we're going to explore that stuff. We're going to talk about what's actually out there, what we concretely know, and maybe even touch just a little bit on what Illidan's return will look like. So strap in, should be pretty fun. Alright, I'm going to kick this one off with demons and Mardoom. So, considering how the Shadowlands were created by the Titans, right, it kind of brings this whole new context, I think, to the Shattered Abyss. Now, when you think about it this way, you've got to then think, well, yeah, like, what did Sargeras actually make for his prison realm? How did that work out? And how did that develop once Sargeras fell and decided to release all those demons? So, in the same way, right, that we're about to visit the constructed realm of the dead, I think we're going to be visiting soon the constructed realm of demons. And I've got to wonder if, Mardoom may have actually just been a little step into that, like sort of a one foot in the door situation. Because Mardoom, of course, is more of like a fallen prison planet. Now, it has really just the potential to go well beyond just the characterization of the demons so far. In the Legion's advance through the cosmos, right, they recruited so many different demonic races, ones that we probably haven't even met yet. Really, any intelligent species was either assimilated or destroyed, like with the Eridar. And that means there's almost endless zone development potential there. The demon realm of the Eridar, or maybe of the other conquered races, or of the other native demons. Now, let's then take this one a bit more broadly to the Twisting Nether, which I think we should reconsider a little bit now that we know the Shadowlands is a thing and how it actually works. So every other realm has got some sort of range of powerful entities in it, right? You've got the Void Lords for Void, you've got the Naru for Light, you've got the Titans of Order, and then when you go into Shadowlands, that seems to have some Death Pantheon. Now, thinking about that, we've never seen the Demon Prime, the leader of the demons. Now, the Legion's leadership team, right, Sargeras, Kil'jaeden, and Archimonde, they were all non-demon of origin, right? So with Sargeras out of the picture, will his the most powerful demonic entities from the deepest pits of the true realm of the demons make an appearance? And you've got to remember, it was very recently in a Q&A interview, I think it was Danuser, I think Steve said that, we mortals go to the Shadowlands when we die. It's kind of like one of our home realms. What happens when an old god dies? Where do they go? And then you got to think, what about a titan? What about a demon? We know demons go to the Twisting Nether. Does that mean there's a hell of a lot more there than we've actually seen thus far? And I would hazard a guess that the answer is yes. And one of the reasons why is, Blizz is going to need content, right? So I think that's what's up there. But of course, there's a lot more to talk about. Let's move away from all the edgy demon stuff to life. So, Shadowlands feels like it's built from the same template as the Emerald Dream, right? Given the implied, I'd say heavily implied, Titan origins of both construct realms. Now, we can then imagine the various realms of life to be molded from raw life magic, right? Each with its own different form and function, like the realms of the Shadowlands. Now, an example of this parallel is the Winter Queen. So, as we've explained, right, she has the real-world Yrith mythological inspiration, but what we did not explain in that past video is that in that mythology, she has an equal and opposite sister, the Summer Queen. Now, this queen, maybe, right, rules over a realm of the Emerald Dream, a sort of mirror image to Ardenweald, right, where maybe life actually begins. So there's that as an idea, but otherwise we could have this full range of nature represented in the realms of the Lifelands, the expanded Emerald Dream, the sort of realms of life, and it really could be just as varied and strange as the realms of the Shadowlands are going to be. Next up, the Realm of Order. So if the Titans were going around the universe, right, creating realms out of pure cosmic, stuff, well, did they ever create a home realm for themselves? Is there even just a home realm of order where Titans actually are before they become a world soul? Well, after the defeat of the Legion, the Titans flew away, right, as we saw in that cinematic. And that's where I would then ask the question, Well, if the Titans did have a home realm, is that not where they would fly after Legion, okay? And remember, the Titans are pretty big guys for not giving us the full picture. It's very much on a need-to-know basis. I doubt Aman'Thul would tell us where he's going and what he's doing, what their plan is. So we should then remember as well that one of his passengers on that ship is not a Titan. It's Illidan. Illidan is not a man of order. He's a pretty crazy guy. Yet, he is on this Titan craft, likely headed to somewhere to be the jailer of Sargeras, along with the Pantheon. Now, I doubt he's going to like where he's going because, look, the Titans are beings of order. Look what Zira tried to do to Illidan, and look how he responded. So, I think whenever the time comes for Illidan to return, I think it's going to be big, right? His experiences will probably have changed him. Now, it already seems like Shadowlands, the expansion, is going to cast some doubt on the noble intentions of the Shadowlands, especially with Blizzard themselves even at the BlizzCon that announced the expansion, teasing that Chronicle is merely a Titan account of history. I think it's just obvious that, yeah, we're going to get a more grey view of the Titans. And that makes me wonder then, by the time we meet Illidan again, well, we are going to have a new perspective on our creators, and I imagine he will as well. So, suffice to say, there is ample room there for a reality-smashing story. Then next up, I think we've got to do a quick bit on the realms of Void and Light. So, originally, right, there was only Void and Light in the universe. They sort of smashed together. That was the WoW universe's Big Bang. But you still got to wonder, is there a realm of Void? Is there a realm of Life? In the same way that you have the Shadowlands appearing. Right now, I think it's really hard to say either way, though there is one little bit of evidence. Now, there is then Ny'alotha. Now, is that a realm specifically of the old gods, or is that some sort of, tapping into a broader Void realm? Now, the case is, if Ny'alotha is really that Void realm, and, we just sort of saw the Azeroth version of Ny'alotha, would there be a Light, counterpart for that? Well, here's actually where it gets interesting, because we were diving back through the lore, and I'm sure many of you will remember Crusader Breitenbard. So the situation with Breitenbard, of course, is that he died, and then the Naru Adal cleansed him, and Adal stated, "In life, Breitenbard was the bearer of great deeds. Now, in passing, he shall taste only paradise." What could that mean? I mean, we can assume then that he went to some sort of light realm, this paradise. So what did he find there? A choir of angels, glittering towers and battlements, Zira ready to tie him up? Who knows, but it's paradise apparently. Is that true? Or is that Adal just trying to play nice to us silly mortals? Hard to know, but you have, I guess, Ny'alotha and Paradise. Those places could actually exist in a more full manner than we currently actually know. Talking about confirmed physical locations in the universe is kind of funny because Blizz kind of shot themselves in the foot with how destructive the Legion and Void have actually been, because we've basically been led to believe that Azeroth is one of the few planets that's actually left in the entire cosmos that's not been utterly obliterated in some manner. So if we are going to go out there and explore some other planets, oh boy, Blizzard better start churning out some new lore or doing something like that. Now, we gotta actually ask though, what could this mean? Well, it could mean big updates to known worlds, it could mean entire new worlds, maybe even new alien races, and the most tantalizing link that we have right now to these new frontiers is, I would say, the Ethereals. There is one other though, but the Ethereals. So, given the Shadreen conspiracy that we covered and the ethereal work of patch 8.3, I would not be surprised if we actually found ourselves thrust into the center of their intrigues across the Great Dark and just thrust out into space itself, Far off parts of space have actually always been in the game, pretty much. As an example, in the Burning Crusade, a member of the ethereal consortium called Giza mentioned the Harashimid and Zarodi even, sectors of space. Now that does imply basically some sort of galactic travel network, right? You look at Star Trek, they've got the different quadrants. Well, these sectors of space. That kind of shows that these are these spacefaring dudes who are going about the place, who need to break space up into these sectors for the sake of navigation, as an example. So that is suggesting something. Then there's, of course, Xal'atath, Medivh, and potentially Ashara, who just seem to be off on some cosmic adventures. And that could give us even more characters floating about up there that could lead us into a story. So, with that said, let's actually now go through all that we know about space. So there is the ethereal home planet of Karesh, which of course has mostly been destroyed. And that destruction is likely what spread the ethereals across the galaxy, and that is right in line with what, of course, we just mentioned about the Harashimid and the Zerodi sectors of the galaxy. Now, if we're going through space, and then they have this great knowledge of space, then I think the ethereals will be key and will probably lead us there. Then next, and especially in a post-Shadowlands context, I think it would be fascinating to visit Nathreza, the home of the Nathrazim, the Dreadlords. Now, we recently found out that I think it basically inspired the form of Revendreth because the creator of Revendreth, Lord Denathrius, seems to actually be some sort of uncorrupted Dreadlord, right? So he kind of created that, and you've got to then think, I mean, look, he's the vampire dude, Revendreth is the vampire realm, the Nathrazim are vampiric, and you even just have to look at how Nathreza was described in the novel Illidan. So, with all of that, you got to wonder, what happens if we actually go there? I mean, we've brought this up before, but it feels like the destruction of Nathreza by Illidan in the Illidan novel is kind of akin to the burning of the Great Library of Alexandria in terms of knowledge being lost, because that novel speaks of just, these sky-high sort of towers made of this pure black kind of material and these great archives and great knowledge. That's actually where he got the keystone from. So all of that stuff suggests that Nathreza would be a deeply interesting place to learn more about. And from what we understand, the Nathrazim, are extremely, extremely ancient. They predate, the Burning Legion, as an example, and they actually had a hand in the corruption, or sect of them, in the corruption of Sargeras himself. So, man, if we were to visit Nathreza and get some of that Dreadlord lore, it would be absolutely a game changer for our understanding of the Warcraft universe. Then, speaking of a post-Shadowland situation, there are a few things that I would like to follow up on, such as where Sargeras and the Titans have actually disappeared off to. Now, we did just speculate they could be going to, a Titan home, kind of like a home realm. Now, that would be something supported by some, I would say, of what Steve Denuser had said during the last BlizzCon Q&A. Now, one place that we know of, I think, that could be where they went, maybe in a different sort of way of doing the story, is the planet of Nihilum. Now, this is where Sargeras first defeated the Pantheon in an event that was so destructive that it eternally corrupted the surface of that planet. Now, the Titans could return there to imprison Sargeras as some sort of ironic symbol, so that could actually work out. And yeah, I mean, even without a direct Titan connection, this planet could have a great, potential for a resurgent Burning Legion, maybe a new demon-oriented faction, maybe some stuff could go down between Illidan, the Pantheon, and Sargeras, so there's that. And then there's also several other planets that have been mentioned that I think would tie into the demons. So there's Zoroth, that's the planet where the Warlock mounts are summoned in from. Now, that actually does make you wonder, well, if the Warlock Dreadsteeds come from Zoroth, what is up with the rest of the flora and the fauna of a planet like that? There's then also Xandros from Warlords of Draenor. Now, it was this ruined world full of portals, but that was alternate universe Xandros. That was not main universe Xandros, which of course, very well, may still be out there. Then finally, I would say, consider the Legion portal connections on Argus, right? There's Oranor, Bonix, Sengar, Nadajal, something like that, Sangua, and Val, right? So these planets, they didn't just disappear. There's stuff out there. And then there's places like the home of the Aldrachi, planets that exist sort of merely as lore stubs. Point here is, though, there's a lot of physical spaces out there, and there's a fair few ways we could actually get out there ourselves, be it Medivh coming back to take us on an adventure, or us teaming up with the Ethereals to deal with some sort of far-off cosmic threat. And then, you know what, speaking of alternate universes, I'm just going to do some shameless wish fulfillment here. What would happen if you went back to Draenor sometime, right? AU Draenor, you go back there. Now, I think we can all agree, it was not the art and the narrative, at least initially, that killed that expansion. It was the content and the way it was cut short. So what happens if we see a continuation of the Mag'har and Lightmother storyline through that planet, right? We could actually visit that continent-spanning ogre empire that Blizzard actually teased. And I'm sure, Yrel, right? She consolidated the orc clans into this sort of sycophantic light horde. Right after that, her attention probably would have went to those ogres in that ogre empire. So there's a bit of potential to explore AU Draenor, and if you're actually to update that place's storyline, it would be interesting seeing, what is this light conquest of the entire planet like? What has that been like for, say, the Arakoa civilization there, for the ogres, you know, for all of those groups we actually met there. And then a bit of that does also make me think about Outland. You know, what would happen if you actually advanced the story of Outland, I guess, 13 years into the future? I mean, there's the Ogrela, right? These super intelligent ogres that existed there. There's the Arakoa, of course, that do also exist there. There's, you know, Akama and the Black Temple, right? Like after it was freed, what's going on with that? There's just so much there. You know, if Coilfrang Reservoir is no longer emptying Zangarmarsh, what happens? So I think that could be really cool. And hey, if there ever was, you know, more interest in that with the increasing likelihood of TBC servers, I mean, hey, I'll just say this. A fan of Outland can wish, I suppose. But point is, there's a little bit more exploration for the first cosmic location that we actually visited in the Warcraft franchise. So there we go, that's it for the video. Look, it can be difficult to actually draw a video like this to some sort of big conclusion because it really is just, I mean, something you could just endlessly write about, but I think if you drill down on the few bits of information that are, you know, that we sort of know about concretely with all of this, there just is so much that could happen, right? Just the, you know, the fundamental characteristic of the cosmos as far as we're concerned here is that it has this massive scale, and so far we have seen so many different glimpses of that scale. I mean, come on, even the concept of the consortium splitting up the galaxy into sectors, you know, just a throwaway line from TBC, that's so interesting. So really, this is stuff that could be preoccupying us for years and years. It is, in a way, the final frontier of World of Warcraft's lore, and Blizzard have literally said that that's something they want to explore. They have said that we are going through the realms of the cosmos in future expansions. That is actually how they prefaced the announcement of the Shadowlands expansion itself, right? That's what Ian said, I think, in the first presentation that he gave on Shadowlands. As soon as the trailer stopped rolling, he talked about the idea of exploring the rest of the cosmos. And I think that means that even though this video is not going to feel real to you right now because, you know, it's Azeroth and it's Draenor and, you know, we're going to this weird Shadowlands place, I mean, if you think about how this fits into what Blizz have said and what their plans are, well, I'd say this is an area that will be expanded greatly, and I think we'll all be watching it with keen interest. So that's it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching, and with that, I will see you next time.